It's just I'm sitting here at 94 degrees in the garage, so it's a little warm. What's the sound? Is bad? Is that what it is? Oh, hold on. Was it the sound that was pretty bad, or can't hear me? Hang on. Let me go get my other headphones.
I decided to take my Amazon.
Is that better, Craig? Can you hear me now? Yeah, no, I had my Bluetooth hooked up to my headphones, but I guess it's not working that way. Wasn't really prepared to go live, but oh well. Figured to hang out for a little bit. Like I said, I'm not really ready to go to bed yet. I'm also taking advantage of doing some water changes in the fish room. Hey, Eduardo, how you doing? Yeah, it's almost, well, midnight for you. It's only 8:51 here on the Pacific coast, so it's not that late for me. I'm just not ready to go to bed yet. I'm out here in the fish room doing some water changes, just kind of hanging out. Figured maybe somebody would want to come out and hang out with me. I haven't done a live stream on my channel. Usually it's always on with Steve when we do the fish panty mas. Can you guys hear me okay? How's the audio? You're good? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bryce. Yeah, no, like I said, I'm not really doing anything other than just wanting to hang out. It is Friday night. I'm on the Pacific coast, so it's still kind of early for me. I know for some of you guys it might be kind of late. But figured I'd, hang out for a little bit. I'm doing some water changes. I'm doing it on a 20 gallon where this is my platy tank. Just kind of, I was listening to the stream earlier with Kenny, and they were done, and I'm not done. So I figured I'd go on, see who else wants to come out here and just kind of hang out. Hey, Audra, how you doing? Oh, okay. Well, thank you for stopping by. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is not scheduled. This is just a totally spontaneous, spur of the moment kind of thing. But thank you for dropping by. I appreciate that. Let's see who else comes in here. Actually, I just got home today. The wife and I took a quick trip down into Mexico today. She had to go do some stuff down there. Had a doctor's appointment today. And then once we were down there, we obviously had to go down there and we went and grabbed something to eat real quick. So I know Ed was mentioning on the other stream that if we have good Mexican food, well, you can't get any better than actually getting it from Mexico. That's about as good as it's going to get. So we went and had birria, which I think in the States they're known as red tacos. It's kind of like slow cooked. Wait, I had goat. I know that's not a real common thing up here in the States, but in Mexico, it's pretty popular. It's a pretty traditional dish, originating from the state of Jalisco. From that's where it comes from, and it's just slow cooked goat's meat in a red chili sauce. They're actually pretty good. Oh, were you? Oh, you're going to the Clash. Great. Hey, Zen. How's it going? Thanks for dropping by. I figured I'd do a pop-up since nobody else was streaming as far as I can tell. I think Melvin's streaming, but he's talking about wrestling. I'm not really talking about anything in special either, though. So we had an amazing day yesterday, Mexicali, and everyone was in the fish room. Oh, great. I've kind of gone a couple of times to your streams, but most of the times it's just the tanks. I haven't had any fortune of catching when other people are on there. Usually it's just a stream on there. I have something on my camera, probably on the screen. So you guys were just hanging out at your fish room, Craig? That's kind of what I'm doing right now. Um, Taking advantage of the fact that I'm here and I'm doing. I did some this morning. I didn't get done with all of them like I wanted to, so I'm just kind of wrapping up the couple of tanks that I still need to get done. I have 220s that I need to do, and I'm still debating whether I'm going to do the 150 or not, which is the one that's right up here. This one right here behind me. That one there. That one, I don't know how it's going to be like now for doing clean ATMs. Got 2 jobs on okay. Yeah, that one back there, I just set up a DIY sub for it, and so I'm kind of I got to figure out how I'm gonna do water changes on that tank from now on, so that I don't have to go turning off all the pumps. I might have to. I just got to dial it in now, where the sump is staying with the flow. I've got the flows correct, so that's well. I guess I could just unplug it and then have it go from there. But yeah, in case fish doesn't pull it up automatically. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not too familiar. Oh, you posted. Thank you very much, then, for posting that for me. Let's see what you got, Eduardo. You're putting up a few tanks at the school. Oh, great. I'm glad to see you guys doing that. You and Drew. I know Drew's actually developed a curriculum around fish keeping, which is really neat. Uh, I'm all for that. I wish I had teachers when I was growing up, or that being an option of having a class that I know he's doing it through ecology, and I think it's great. I know that was definitely a class that I probably would have really paid attention in, just knowing my fascination for the fish and the aquariums and stuff like that. And even then, it would have probably I would have probably learned a lot more than I do now, know now. Hey, Gina, thanks for dropping by. I wasn't subscribed. Oh, that's no problem. Hey, Vinoski, how's it going? Yeah, I'm just hanging out here. Let me see. I'm gonna throw the link out there, see if anybody wants to come on up. Let's see. How do I? No, that's not it. I'm used to doing this on the computer, and let me. How do I? No, not like that. Copy here. Copy. Let me get that down. Post a comment. See if that'll work. Yeah, anybody, if any of you guys want to come on, you guys are more than welcome. This is, like I said, this is just a pop up. Um, Not really ready to go to bed. Doing a couple of water changes, which I've got to keep an eye on because I already overflowed the tank. Just listening to the last live stream. So, so what have you guys been up to? You guys had a good day today, or hey, B Wizzle's here? I didn't see him. Where is he? Oh, there he is. How you doing, B Wiz? Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, this is just totally spontaneous. There's no format for this today other than us hanging out where everybody's not ready to go to bed yet. Um, you guys are more than welcome to hang out here. If you guys want to come up, come on up. And we'll just chill for a little bit, at least until I get done. I'll be drinking this zucchini. I thought it was a pumpkin, not a zucchini. It's in the squash family. Close enough, I guess. Yeah. Let me see. Turn this water off. I do flush and fill on my tanks, so I got to keep an eye on it. All right, all right. Yeah, I'm doing good. That's good to hear. You got any? You got work tomorrow, be with? Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can get this fish room cooled off. I opened up the garage door. It came in here and it was at about 98. I think the temperature now has dropped to 94. It's nice and cool, breezy outside. Well, cool for our standards. It's probably about 90 degrees, but it's still about 8 degrees cooler than it was in here in the garage. And it's 9 o'clock over here, so yeah, I've been saving my cans 10 cents each. I got 20 bags. I'm going to catch. Oh, great! But, oh, you're gonna buy some fish. That'll be neat. Uh, any? What are you getting? Corridoras or plecos? Because I know that's kind of what you like breeding, or your plecos. Oh, okay. The 420 type biz. I mean, V Wizzle or meta. What do they call it? Metatone or well, I guess I won't feel too bad if I put you to sleep. Anybody? Let me see. Do I got anybody back here? I haven't really streamed it on this cell phone before. Nope, nobody yet. Oh, okay. Is that what you guys are going to buy down there at the Clash, Eduardo? You guys are going to try to get some Corys and Plecos? Oh, it's all right, Craig. 5 minutes behind, huh? Or is that me? Am I 5 minutes behind? Congratulations, Gina. 200? Cool. Yo, you're doing a giveaway on Thursday. All right. Yeah, actually, I took advantage of the fact that we're down in Mexicali today, down in Mexico, and I went and asked around for some pricing on probably getting some T-shirts and some hats and stickers done. They tend to be a little bit more competitive on the price than most manufacturers out here. Uh, so I'm going to see if I can get some merch um, done, and when I get to 1,000, I'll probably do a giveaway. It's a deal. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. What are you guys reading? What kind of Corys and Fleckles are you guys doing, Eduardo? Hey, June. Thanks for dropping by. It's still early for us over here on the West Coast. Oh man, my head's all shiny from the sweat. Where's my towel? Oh, I left it over there. Let me go grab my towel. Hold on. Yeah, it's only 9 over here. I'm surprised. Brendan, is Brendan going on tonight? He didn't mention that he was. Do you know, Gina? I know he goes on tomorrow night, but I don't know if he was going on tonight. I'm still adjusting to not doing graveyard shift anywhere for at least a few days. So I'm still in that adjustment period. My sleep is all out of sync right now. You're going to the Clash, Zen? You're also going up there? I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was on Kenny's stream and I think they asked him, but he didn't say anything. So I don't want to be stepping on anybody's toes if they're going tonight. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought, Gina. But if he goes live, I guess we could all go over there after if he decides to go live. I just popped on here because like I was telling you guys earlier, I wasn't ready to go to bed. So I said, why not? I haven't done anything on my channel as far as live streaming goes. Everything has been on that other channel that we do every other week. Yeah, I got 10 people in here tonight. Did I miss anybody? Let me see. Let me go back and check. I know I've got Craig, uh, Eduardo, Bryce, Audra, just quick, stop by real quick, say hi. Then, let's see, Gina, Benoski, D Wizzle. I got a patch on my, oh, okay. Any tips? Where did you have to patch your tank? Is it on the side panels, on the bottom panel? Oh, Bryce. See, I don't think I've ever had to repair an acrylic tank. An oddball plecos. Oh, okay. So did you help them breed them, Eduardo, or did you help buy the fish to get bred? 'Cause I know you're always breeding stuff down there in your lanai. Oh, since you're here, Eduardo, uh, Steve and I have been toying with the idea of doing an all Spanish stream on our fish plants y mas, because that was kind of the objective, also to kind of do some Spanish content on that stream. Would that be something you'd be interested in being part of a panel if we do it? If we do have guests who want to do an all Spanish stream? Oh, okay, and Brian. Oh, okay, they're breeding. Oh, so you guys all pulled your money together to buy the Corys and the Plecos. Got it. You guys will be selling them at the Clash? Yeah, we don't have a date for that stream yet. It's something we've been working on. The other thing is we're trying to put the word out there because again, since we haven't done a whole lot of content in Spanish, uh, we want to see if there's an interest. One, if there's an interest, and two, to try to uh, get a group of people that would be willing to come to the stream and watch. Come on the time and day. Yeah, if it's the time and day, yeah, we would have to come down. But the day is going to be a Saturday. Hey, Brendan, how you doing? It's going to be on the one of the Saturdays that we stream, and usually it's 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So it'll be on the weekend. No, they just started. Okay, got it. So what's the plan with that, Eduardo? Are you guys uh, eventually going to start doing them on those auctions that they do on Skipper's channel, or what's the long term plan for that? It's not worth. Yeah, if you have any experience with that, June, that's great. I don't. I haven't had to do anything with acrylic. I thought though when you glue acrylic though, I thought it fused the acrylic to itself, so it's actually a better bond than when you try to seal something with a glass aquarium. Oh, okay, that'll be great, Eduardo. yeah, we're just like I said, we're still working on. I think the idea behind that stream that we want to do in Spanish, it'll kind of be for beginner hobbyists. Kind of, we'll talk some of the basic topics just to kind of lay some groundwork for that Spanish stream. And if people have questions about cycling a tank, the very beginner questions that a lot of people have, why their fish might be dying, why did the water turn cloudy, that kind of stuff. And but in order to be able to do that, we would obviously have to put out ahead of time um, the announcement that we're doing it in Spanish for anybody that is keeping fish. And even though they might speak English as a second language, sometimes when it comes to more technical stuff or things like that, it's easier if you do it in Spanish for them. Hey, Surf City, nice to see you here. Thanks for coming by. And got it, yeah, I teach. Yes. Oh, okay, perfect. So that's kind of the idea behind that stream. Um, we might do at least once every two streams. We'll have one that's all in Spanish, uh, just so that because I haven't, at least in my experience, from just watching the fish fam stuff, I don't think anybody's doing anything in Spanish. But then again, I don't know if there's a need or a demand for it. So that's what we're going to be experimenting with and giving it a run. If it works, that'll be great. If it doesn't, then we'll just go back to our English content. But that was kind of the whole purpose of when we developed that stream, is kind of tap into that side of it. Because I know there's got to be fish keepers like you, Eduardo, and myself, and many others that we do Spanish just fine. So that's kind of something we're working on. And one of the things we were doing is we're trying to find, oh, there's a need. Okay. And that was the other thing, was trying to find streamers, or not necessarily streamers, just experienced hobbyists that can speak the language. Let's see, a 240 acrylic tank that I bought was repaired. Okay. Well, yeah, you know what? On a 240, that's a lot of pressure being put on those sidewalls. So I can see having problems. I don't even think I would repair like that a glass aquarium of that size, unless I was gonna basically rebuild it, uh, replace the entire panel. But I don't think you can do that with acrylic. Uh, I'm looking at my acrylic tanks, and I don't think they have any seams that I can see other than the tops and the bottoms of those tanks. Fish fam en español. Yeah, I don't know how many of them are currently part of the fish fam. Um, but I've done a little bit of a dive. I know that a lot of the Spanish content that is being created is either coming out of Spain or Europe in general, and a lot of it is from Mexico. And although it's Spanish and everything, it's still not the same ideas. Well, not the ideas, but the way we keep the way we keep fish here in the United States tends to be a little bit different uh, than what I've seen in fish keepers do in Mexico. And then in Mexico, believe it or not, it's saltwater is a lot more predominant in the hobby down there than freshwater. So a lot of the content you see down there from the YouTube creators from Mexico, a lot of them are doing saltwater. They're not doing a whole lot of freshwater. And there are some differences when it comes to keeping fish. Basically being the water, the way freshwater versus saltwater, you got to worry about salinity and the gravity of that. Whereas freshwater, I guess, would be more pH. And we're also trying to dispel some of the myths, because I see a lot of the Spanish content that I see from Mexico. They're real sticklers of using like distilled water, and remineralizing, and there's a lot of that stuff going on there. And as you all well know, all of us, you can do tap water when it comes to keeping fresh water, but I think a lot of that concept of doing the RO water is because they are keeping salt water. Most of the streamers, I mean the tubers that I've seen from Mexico, they started out as salt water and they're kind of gradually venturing into freshwater. So they've got that notion of starting with a known value in the water and then mineralizing to their need. Uh, and we don't necessarily do that here in the hobby. Most of us run tap water for our freshwater tanks. Um, so those are some of the things that we're trying to address. I think I've seen a couple of streamers on the East Coast, but uh, it seems to me like a lot of those guys are also a lot of they're just learning on the fly. Safer. Yeah, well, yeah, I can see that because you're probably not filling up the entire volume of the 240 if you're keeping turtles. Hey, Cisco, how's it going? Bottled water for my tanks. Yeah, and see, and that's what I see a lot of people doing down there in Mexico is they use the 5 gallon jugs to do water changes and stuff like that. I kept fish in Mexicali when I was living down there, and I used straight tap water. I used the chlorinator because I didn't have a carbon filter back then. Uh, but yeah, I know a lot of the even the local fish store that I would go buy the fish down there in Mexico. That's what they would always tell you is, oh, you got to use purified water from. They have water dispensaries down there, and a lot of that is just very low um, TDS in it, and so it's because it's basically drinking water that they're doing out of a 5 gallon jug. Hey, Lori, thanks for dropping by. So and so as fish keepers here stateside, because I know there's a big Spanish speaking community out here that are also keeping fish, and they sometimes don't have somewhere to go look for answers. We're hoping to be that for a lot of those people. So that's kind of the idea that we're toying around with. I know we have to do uh, a lot of promotion on that, and we're looking for hobbyists that are confident or can be pretty fluent in their Spanish, so that when we have those streams, we can have guests also, and and be able to talk about the hobby. I've been truly busy. So many YouTubers are even you. Yeah, we all. I mean, I was when I first started. It's a big learning curve, and it would have been nice if there would have been a resource. Well, for me, there was because um, I could go to the local fish store and ask questions there. But I know, uh, some people don't have the ability to be able to communicate in English very well. They might do it to be able to do the day-to-day necessities at work. But when it starts getting more into the technical side of things, their English is probably not on par to be able to start understand some of those nuances, and to be able to do it in Spanish, I think it's going to be beneficial because then they can really ask or ask those questions where they might be able to understand exactly what it is that needs to be done. Oh, Salt Creek. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't have any salt water. Uh, I've been tempted. I was even toying with the idea of doing brackish. Here's the real reason why I don't do saltwater fish is because I know my propensity to get carried away. As you guys can see in my fish room, I have a lot of tanks. That is going to be a slippery slope for me if I start going saltwater. And saltwater is expensive. Well, not so much if you're doing the simple fish fish tanks, but knowing myself, I'm going to want corals. And once you start playing with reefs, it is just a different animal. and it can get expensive real quick. Freshwater, it's not that it's not as expensive, but you can still manage to pull off. Like I know if I was doing saltwater, I probably wouldn't have as many tanks as I have now. So that's one of the reasons. And then you have you have the cost that you have to buy salt to do your water changes, and so there's just incremental costs. To me, it just seems like it might be a little bit more expensive to do that. And then with the water issue, if you really want to have a known value, you want to invest money on an RO system. So those are the reasons why I know what I would be getting into if I start doing saltwater. And as much as you like to say you're only going to have one tank, uh, I know if I'm really honest with myself, I know that's not going to be the case. I know that eventually I'm going to find myself wanting to have a different type of tank, and then obviously if you start off with the real basic, clownfish and anemone, and then you want to get some corals, well, then you got to be cognizant that if you get corals, not all fish can get along with the corals because they'll eat them. So I look at that side and I go, as much as I want to do it, and actually it'd probably be easier for me to have tanks indoors if I went saltwater because my wife, excuse me, my wife loves those tanks because of the fish and the corals and the colors you get out of those tanks. You can have very colorful tanks. But I just know you start getting into the equipment you need to buy, even though you can start off with a hang on the back, but the further you get into that hobby, the more expensive they can get. And some of those fish, especially some of the real nice fish, you're paying upwards of $100 for those fish. And to be learning and having them die, that's an expensive side of the hobby. So that's kind of why, as much as I admire those tanks, that's why I kind of stay away from salt. Maybe once I get over this having multiple tanks and I get ready just to have a really one nice display tank, maybe then I will do it. Or actually, our local library down here has a beautiful 220 or 240 acrylic tank that's a saltwater tank. It's a beautiful tank. I mean, what you could do with saltwater is it's just really neat. But like I said, it can get pretty expensive, especially when you start getting into those larger size tanks. Um, it's just a lot more upfront cost. I know there's a lot of used equipment, but uh, like I said, once you start getting into corals and stuff like that, it just gets real expensive real quick. Yeah. So the clash is what, next weekend, or is it? It's not this weekend, is it? I kind of haven't been following it too much because that's out on the East Coast. Um, it's just kind of a little bit out of my way. Maybe down the road, if you know, in 2 or 3 years, maybe. I I know my goal for next year is to try to get out to Dallas for Aquachella. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, some savings now so that I can do that and be able to go to that. Oh, okay, the 23rd to the 25th. Okay, so that's just a few more weekends before that happens. We're coming Saturday morning. Oh, you guys got something going on down there in Florida, I take it. Oh, thank you. Well, you know what? The plants that I keep are are your most basic. Here, I'll turn this around. I mean, and I'll show you guys. It's just basically Bacopa. What I'm keeping, hornwort, some Augustifolia, and jungle val. Predominantly jungle val is what I have. Nope, I don't want to do that. I want to switch the camera. Let's see. No, I don't want to remove myself from the screen. More options. Post layout. No, is it the layout? Nope. See, I'm used to doing this on the computer. And on here, here we go, camera. I haven't had to do it on back facing camera. Let's see. Hopefully, I don't lose you guys. There we go. Oh, I went sideways. All right. So my plants are just real basic plants. I got some swords in here that I'm. This is a 75. This is a 75-gallon tank. It's a little community tank that I have with some electric blue Acaras, some Buenos Aires Tetras. I've got a little hodgepodge of little Corys in there. I got a fat Yo-Yo Loach. This sucker is pretty big. And he's kind of pretty much kept this tank snail free for the most part. I would have the Val here. I found out that these guys, the Buenos Tetras, will actually eat that like if they were eating spaghetti. I catch them starting at the tip and they chew on it all the way down. That's why I don't trim this jungle Val. They do it for me. They're pretty good about doing that in there. This tank here, I purposely have the hornwort in here because as you guys can see, I have a lot of little fry, and I just kind of want to give them a place for them to hide out from the parents. But in here, it's just like I said, that's just some hydrophilia in the back, the gustifolia, and that's all I have in there really. So a little bit of rotala back there, but that hasn't really grown too much because, as you guys can see, I have all that hornwort that's blocking the light. If I move some of this stuff, it would get more light in there. But if I do that, then I wouldn't be able to get fry, and they'd get eaten up. So it's just, you know, it is what it is. I love this tank though. This is kind of one of my favorite tanks. You can see the jungle valve. This sucker is long. Look at that. That's coming out of the top of the tank. It folds all the way around. So jungle bell, my water, I guess, is ideal for oh, let me see. Okay, yeah, it's ideal for jungle bell. It's the hardness in our water. This stuff loves it. It grows like weeds. All my tanks will have a little bit of val in there. And then I got some Bacopa over here. Carolina Bacopa Carolina. And that also does real well in my water. I got a sword in there. And I got some crypts down in here. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I got a little bit of rotala in here. And that's doing okay. That's really, that for me grows real slow. But I think a lot of it has to do with the jungle valve covering up a lot of the light. And it doesn't get a whole lot of growth in there. And I don't worry too much about scraping algae, as you guys can see. The only place if I have to scrape algae, it will be on the front viewing panel. That's just because I like to look at my tanks. This is a 55. Oh, hold on. Almost ran over. Doing water changes and streaming. That's probably not a good combination. I got some Luigi in here that is growing real tall. Again, jungle valve. This stuff goes berserks in my tanks. This is my my tiger barb tank, and you'll notice a lot of my fish are just your generic, basic, big box store fish because that's what I have. I don't have any local mom and pop shops. All I have is a PetSmart. So my fish are a reflection of what I have access to. Recently, since I've started going to some of the clubs, I've been able to get access to other fish, but they're still not anything too exotic. This is my 150, and in here, because I only have a shop. If you guys notice, all my tanks run on shop lights. That's all I use in here. I don't think the par on this the lighting is good enough to where it's getting to the bottom, and the plants are really struggling in here to grow, and they're getting real leggy. I got to go in there. The downside of this is I don't know if you guys can tell, but this that tank's probably sitting about, I want to say, 7 feet above the ground, and it's like 31 inches, and my arms just barely make it to the top of those rocks that are right in here. Because I'm standing on a ladder and trying to reach over, so I lose a lot of my reach, and so I really haven't done a good job of getting in there and doing the maintenance on that thing. I'm thinking I'm to the point now where I'm thinking of pulling all those plants and just going with jungle valve in it. But I just still haven't gotten around to that. And then this tank is set up like with a plenum that I kind of made for my, a DIY plenum, because they don't sell the undergravel filters for this. And recently I just set up that sump, because this has an internal. Well, it's set up for a sump, and I hadn't done that before. So I'm running. I did a DIY project on that. You guys can see where it's coming down here. The hose is behind back there. I'll show you guys right now the other side of that. And then in here, I have a 65-gallon tank where I have my grandkids' goldfish. This is my grandkids' tank. Hence why it's also so low on the ground, so it's easy for them to view. I originally only had 3 in here, and the reason I only had 3 is because it was for Nate, Dom, and Nathaniel, and when I set this up, and then Sophia was born, but by that time, these guys had already reproduced in here. So the smaller goldfish you're seeing in there are an offspring of this one right here and this guy right here. So that's why I have a little bit more fish in here. And so the original fish were this one, the comet, and the moor, the black moor that's down there. And everything else has kind of been, just in this tank. It's time has gone on, and they've done their thing, and I've got more fish in there now. This one in here, I need to clean it and do a water change on it. But here's where I have those killifish. These guys are real skittish. I don't even know they're coming up. There's a couple of them. These are all females. The male will be real black with some blue splangling in them, but that tank is a mess right now. I gotta do some work in it. And then up here, these are all 10-gallon tanks. Predominantly, these are all Neocaridina tanks for the most part, and snails. I can breed ram horn snails like it was going out of style. But you guys can see some of the cherry shrimp in here. This one's kind of unique though, because even though I have cherry shrimp in here, I don't know if you can make the tail all the way back there, but I also have a betta in here. And most people will tell you that you can't keep a betta. Yeah, Eduardo, I have 4 grandkids. I have 3 boys and a girl. And actually, they've been on all of them have been on my video at one point or another. So if you take a dive in my on my channel, there's one where all 4 of them actually is where they were all visiting me, and I did a little quick video of them in my fish room, and they were all pointing out their own fishes, the goldfish in there. In here, this is probably one of the rarer fish that you normally don't find at a local pet store. I have some black chin live bears that I picked up in San Diego at a fish auction, and the original male, the pair that I had in here, has passed since, and I don't know if you guys can make out all the fry that are in here, so I got to wait till these guys grow out to see if I have any pairs in here. I'm hoping that the odds are in my favor, because there's probably about 20 different fry in here. Again, this is kind of like a cold tank for my shrimp that are in there. So that's going on in there. And then this one is a 10-gallon tank also, and I have least killifish in here. That's one of the other not so common fish for us down here. I don't even know you guys can see them. There they are. And these guys are breeding. I saw Fry in here the other day, but these guys, because it's so heavily planted, they like to go hang out in the back. And this one I haven't really touched. You can see the algae growing on the glass. I just need to get in here. I've been working. Oh, there's a little Fry right there. I don't know if you guys can make them out. But these guys are breeding, so I'm happy about that. And I used to have a lot of hair, green hair algae on. I still have some here, but I guess these guys will eat it because I see them nipping at it, and they're cleaning up my pearlweed. And this is also something that I picked up at a fish auction, so I was kind of happy because I don't have access to that here. This over here is my Cory grow out tank. This is where I usually drop all the Cory eggs when I have them in here. And then I've got guppies that have jumped over from this tank down here and the other one out there. And they're mud guppies. I don't have anything nice or fancy. I just kind of keep them in. As they grow out, I throw them in this 55-gallon down here. And that's pretty much what you see in there is a bunch of mud guppies. I like big tanks and small fish for the most part. This is doing a water change in this one. This one's my platies. I got one platy right now that looks like she's battling blout. So I don't know how she's going to do. I don't think she's going to make it. But the rest of them look pretty good. And like I said, this is all, again, this is what I can get access to here locally. So that's what I've been keeping. Slowly, I've been able to pick up some different fish. Down here is a little breeding project. Let me turn the light on this one. These guys I am trying to purposely breed, and these are my cherry barbs. Just because I really like them, not for no other reason than that, and I really enjoy them. So that's what I got going on. It's sort of a hybrid tank because it's sort of bare bottom, but I also have some lava rock and some spawning mobs. And I did that because originally I didn't have anything on the bottom, and I noticed that these guys were eating the eggs. So my thinking behind this is that they'll spawn in the mob. Hopefully they'll work their way in between the lava, the rocks, and be able to hatch out. So again, this is more of an experiment tank, and it was a quarantine tank, and I say it was because now I'm trying to breed these guys in here. But again, nothing too exotic, stuff I can pick up at a local PetSmart or Petco. So that's what I have in there. This one right now is empty. It's just it's a multi-purpose tank. I had some gobies in here, but I lost them. I wasn't able to. I had some Australian gobies, beautiful fish, but because this one is up so high, this is the hottest tank in the whole fish room, and I think the temperatures got way too hot, even though they can tolerate some high heat. I think it was just a lack of oxygen in that tank that kind of did them in, and but that was just an empty tank. And then down here, this was the escape challenge that I had with Berto, and this one doesn't have a light. And again, this is kind of an experiment. I kind of purposely did this because what I was trying to do with this tank is I was trying to use the ambient light to see if I could get it to grow plants. And I've had some mild success. If you guys can see the growth of these plants, it's not ideal. They're real leggy. And, it's just, and I don't use a whole, this one really could use some fertilizers. I need to go buy some. It is a dirted tank, but it's not your traditional, where you put a base layer of dirt and then cap it off. What I did with that one, again, an experiment, was I took sand like I have here and mixed it in with potting soil because one of the things that I found out with doing the layers, the lasagna layer type, was that I was getting a lot of algae. So I was trying to cut down on some of that algae. So I don't know. I think that was mediocre success at best. And in here, what I have are some white cloud minnows that I'm just trying to breed, and some cherry shrimp in here also, and they're doing okay. I've had a little bit of success with the white cloud minnows. I haven't had the, because again, I think it's temperature. The problem in my fish room, it's too damn hot. I need to invest some money on some air conditioning for the garage. And so that's that. And then this one over here is my pleco grow up. And these guys are munching on some celery. And this one is also, it's all jungle bell. This one and duckweed. And the duckweed, I I kind of purposely grow it out because the goldfish is all they eat. That's goldfish food. You can see where there's some remnants of the duckweed on the top. Anytime these tanks start getting filled with duckweed, I'll just scoop it out and put it in that tank. So that's what this is. I got some cories in here, and then I have some tetras that I picked up at an auction. I have some, and again, these are not necessarily anything too exotic, but I thought they were cool because I don't have access to them. They're green fire tetras. I have some cardinal tetras and some ember tetras down in here. These I can find at a Petco, but they had them at the auction, so I got them for relatively inexpensive. And the very last tank this is a breeding project for those killifish, and this is usually the way I do it. This doesn't have any filter. It doesn't have any water movement. It's just standing water, but it's super clear. And that's where I'm doing that. And then this is by far right now my favorite fish tank. It's my Shelly tank, and I still haven't had any fry from these guys, but I think they're still trying to settle in. I think I've had these for about 3 weeks now, so we'll see what happens. And of course, I did what you're not supposed to do. Um, I knew I could pull off the Anubiuses in here, but I decided to put some jungle bell in the back. They haven't dug it up, so we'll see what happens with it in the long run. But those are just some of the tanks that I've got that I'm kind of keeping in here. My phone's trying to overheat. Let me switch the camera back. Let me see. Settings, camera. Oh, it's getting warm. Let me get in front of the fan. Yeah, but that's what I got going on in my fish room right now. It's very simple stuff. I do like plants, as you guys can tell. I'm very partial to having planted tanks. Uh, I think it's just makes it conducive to the benefit of the fish and stuff like that. I don't use a whole lot of fertilizers other than the waste itself of the fish. And that's pretty much it. Let's see. Did I miss any questions? Okay. So you weren't going to stream tonight, Brendan? What did you kill, Craig? Oh, the red cherry chips. You know what? Mine have been pretty good. They've been troopers. Um, they've kind of they've liked my water, and I was really concerned that they were going to be struggling because of the temperatures, but they seem to be holding up pretty good. I do occasionally get lost in my guppies because the water right now. Let's see. I think if I had to guess, they're probably about 85, 86 in the tank right now, which I really I got a little laser pointer. See this one right here? Let me get the phone. Oops. Let me turn this around again. Let's go to. Okay. Look at that. Temperature in the off the fan is 94 degrees. While in here, 88, 89 is what this tank's running at. This one up here, yeah, this one's about 90. So my temperatures are no joke. I know a lot of people say that fish won't make it. This is the Molly tank. It's at 91. And don't get me wrong, I do get losses, but not at the rate that you would think or that people would say. See, this one's the guppy tank sitting at 92, well, 91 degrees, which is, it's really hot, but I can't get them to cool off. Even though I also do a water change right now, the water coming out of my tap is probably sitting about 88 degrees. Let's see, this is the Tiger Barb. Yeah, they're all sitting at around 90s. And these are the higher tanks too. Let's see, this one. This one's sitting 92 degrees. The goldfish. See, the lower tanks are only a couple of degrees cooler. That's 89. The killifish. Yeah, pretty much 89. And the platies. Yep, they're about 91 degrees. So my fish, my fish room runs hot, to say the least. Right now, I'm looking at the thermometer in here, and it's reading 94 degrees inside the garage. It's probably 90 outside of here, just because it's got all that heat from the day, that radiant heat. And but you know, it's a real struggle. I mean, but they're not dying. I mean, people would tell you that at that temperature, your fish are going to die. And as you guys saw, I'm even have fish breeding in that temperature. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm able to keep fish. Hey, Steven, how's it going? Who else is in here? Mark, how you doing, Mark? Let me let me catch up. Who else has come in here for Brennan? How you doing, Brennan? Lori, yeah, I said hi to Lori. Okay, I think everybody else I've kind of much. If I've missed anybody, thank you for being here. Again, this is just a hangout today. The reality is I wasn't ready to go to bed, and I was doing water changes, but I'm done now. Even on the tank that I just did a water change, that was the one with the platies. You saw what it was. It was like 88 in there. So that's how hot the water's coming out of the tap. Or not a credit. Oh, okay. Let me plug in my phone before it dies. All right. So yeah. Well, you see, today, um, at the hottest that we were today, we were at a 110. Um, but that's just normal Arizona temperature down here. I'm in Yuma, Arizona, and that's actually on the, well, I wouldn't say milder, but it's not at the hottest that it usually gets down here. It's not uncommon for us to be running at 114 in that range. Uh, the whole basically the months of July through August. Uh, Towards the end of August, it starts dropping down. Like I said, right now it's nighttime. It's 9:49 Pacific Standard Time, and I'm looking at the thermometer. It's 93 degrees. I know if I step outside though, because there's a light breeze, I'll probably be more in the range of like 90, 89. In the mornings right now, when we get up, it's probably about 87 ish. Uh, but it warms up pretty quick. Uh, I don't know. I've looked. I'm trying to figure out, and I've asked around because they do have those like portable swamp coolers, and I've thought about running that here. We do have mostly dry heat down here where we're at. We don't have a lot of humidity. Although right now we're a little bit more humid than normal because I'm looking at the thermometer saying it's 47% humidity. A lot of it also is because of all the tanks in here. Uh, but I don't know if running a swamp pool in here is going to help. About 77, 75. Okay, water that hot. Yeah, yeah. You're more northern or middle of California, right, June? You're not in Southern California, are you? Yeah. So the other thing is I could buy the split units, the AC units, but I my only concern is that I would have to probably um, insulate the rest of the walls inside of here. The wall that's directly on this side of the fish tanks is already insulated. Oh, the other way around. This way, that wall back there, that has insulation in it. But the other side of the garage, that one's cinder block. So, oh, next to Yosemite, yeah. So you guys you're more northern. Yeah, your temperatures are a lot milder than ours, putting it to say the least. But yeah, if you're running in the 90s, that is kind of warm for, especially for that part of the country. It's typically not that warm up there. My brother was living up in the Bay Area for a while, and in the summer, I found myself having to wear a sweater in the afternoons because for me it was cooler. For him, it was actually pretty cool. Omer said, yeah, yeah, yeah. You guys are typically maybe high 80s, low 90s when it's the hottest point. So that's the kind of stuff that I've kind of been dealing with out here. But that's just anybody that's keeping fish up in here in this area, especially if you're keeping it in your garage. It's not uncommon. Most people that I know here in Arizona that have fish rooms in the garage, all they're doing is running big fans. I have a few fans in here, but they run those big industrial round fans, and I guess with the humidity coming off the tanks, it kind of acts as an evaporative cooler, and they manage to keep fish, and I'm keeping them fit. I'm keeping fish too. So just outside of San Jose. Okay, hate the weather. Can't go outside till next month. Oh, okay. Hey Ian, how you doing? Yeah, no. The upside of this, unlike a lot of people that live in areas where it snows, we don't get any snow. So our lowest temperatures here are in the 40s, and I've managed to keep these killies outdoors year round. Um, if I if I keep them out here, I don't obviously leave them in direct sunlight. I'll put them under the patio back in the back. That's where I had a 40-gallon tote where I was bringing out those tooth cart, uh, the iridescent tooth cart or the Aphaeus mentos killifish, and I was it was no different than the temperatures that I was running in here. And in the winter, as long as I had a lid on there, and a little bit of the sunlight that they would get, they were managed to stay out there. They kind of go dormant during the wintertime, not as active, but I could keep them outdoors. Like I said, the coldest we get here is maybe like 43, 42, and that's only, you know, maybe a month out of the year that it gets that cool. There's a reason why we get what is known as snowbirds. People from northern part of the country in Canada, they'll come and spend the winter down here because for them it's just like summertime for them. And it's funny. I always laugh because we'll be running around with a sweater or a light jacket, and we see them walking around in shorts and t-shirts and flip flops, just because they're coming from areas that's a lot warmer. Yeah, Scottsdale temperature. That's exactly the same temperature that we have down here. It's all desert. All that region of the country down here, it gets that hot. The only, and I know people don't say hot is hot, but I'm telling you, humidity makes a big difference. Because when I was in the military and I was stationed in Georgia, it never got over 90, but the humidity was like 100%. And to be honest, I'd rather deal with our heat because at least I can go indoors, get in front of a fan, and it'll be cool. When it's humid, there's no cooling off unless you have air conditioning that's going to pull that moisture out of the air. You're just sitting there sweating the whole time. That is some crazy. I know, Steven, you're out in Louisiana. You guys, I don't know where in Louisiana you are, but it gets pretty humid out there. That's a different type of animal. You get dehydrated in that kind of heat real quick because you're always sweating. Down in the 30s twice. Okay, so it got below freezing. Yeah, we don't. Well, I don't think we get freezing temperatures down here. I remember, which is weird because I remember being a kid and walking to school in the mornings, and we used to get frost on the tops of the cars and the windshields. I don't think I've seen that here. Uh, maybe like for more than 20 years. So I don't know what's yeah, hot and wet. Yep, that's right, Stephen. Yeah, Georgia's like that, and I was like, man, the one thing I hated that I couldn't stand is I hate sweating at night when I'm trying to sleep, and you got that sweat running down the side of your neck and the back. That was just I couldn't deal with that shit. That shit was driving me crazy. Um, I don't mind sweating during the day. The other thing that I learned is that you never dry off. You can jump in the shower, and you can towel off, and before you're done getting, if you start off at the top, by the time you get to your feet, the top of your head and everything else is just drenched in sweat. So I just I just realized that it was kind of pointless to try to dry out. You just got to put on your clothes and go, and you just dealt with it. But like I said, the hardest part for me was the nights because I just can't. If I'm sweating at night, I can't sleep, and I was miserable that whole time I was down there in Georgia. I was happy to leave. Uh, I'd rather deal with this heat down here. Well, the upside of having when it's this hot, anywhere you go, air conditioning is a mandatory, so you can get away from the heat. Uh, you learn how to deal with it. If you got to go out, you go out and do what you need to do, and you hurry up and get back indoors, and then you'll be fine. Down here, cars, you don't buy a car if it doesn't have AC. I don't think they sell out of the lot. AC is not an option. It's a mandatory thing. So that's the upside of living out here in the desert is that you're going to be dealing you're going to be able to get out of the heat. I know those areas that are a little bit more humid. That's not always necessarily an option. I used to hate going out in the Humvee because it was a sweat box. I mean, you'd be wearing all your gear. You're wearing the damn Kevlar helmet, and you're just drenched. I mean, literally, I would take off my boots, and it almost seemed that I could turn that boot upside down, and there'd be sweat running out of it because it all goes down, and it gets trapped in your boots. I mean, socks. It wouldn't be uncommon for us to be switching out socks halfway through the day because that was just part of it. You got to keep your feet dry, or else you start having all kinds of foot issues. Um, but it's just nuts, man. It's just crazy. Uh, I'd rather take this heat than humidity. Uh, here with this kind of heat, you can even you sit in front of a swamp cooler, you can cool off. Isn't the low temperature difference? Oh, the lows and the highs. They're up there in the set. You get those drastic swings, huh? Where it'll be real warm during the day and real cool at night. Yeah, here for us, it's like I said. There's not that big of a difference. It's pretty consistent. I'm sitting here looking at 93 degrees, and so it's not. It doesn't go too far from there to 108. There's not that big of a climb, but I can see if you're doing 90s and you're dropping down to the 60s, that's like a 30-degree swing. Yeah, that could be pretty hard. Um, Obviously, I'm not running any heaters in my tanks right now, and it probably doesn't help that the air pump that I'm running for the whole, because I'm running a whole loop in here that I actually have a pump that I need to upgrade to. That is putting out hot air too, so that's not really helping a whole lot. In the winter, it's fine. I don't mind it because it keeps my tanks in the low to high the low 70s to the high 60s. And again, because I guess it's so gradual, it's just a sudden change. I thought I was going to be dealing with ick a lot because of the low temperatures, but I haven't found that to really be an issue. What I do, I have heaters in the tanks, but I've got them set to 70 degrees so that when the temperatures do drop to like the 40s, they'll kick on. And once that cold snap kind of breaks, then they'll go back to whatever temperature they're doing. They're running in it. Yeah, there's a lot of gardens down here, but right now the big issue that we're having is up in this region. We get all our water from the Colorado River, and I don't know if you guys have been watching the news, but um, Lake Mead, which is really the main water storage for all this region down here, has been drastically dropping over. I guess it's been like 30 years, but it's dropped to the point now where you're starting to see cities that they're a little further away, like Temecula and stuff like that, that they're getting water restrictions. Uh, they're having days where they can't water their lawns. Uh, I know down here, I see very few lawns. Everybody's doing the desert scape. I don't even know if they'll let you put in a lawn now down here with grass and stuff, unless it was an older build when they were doing that. My house is all rock, and I have some mesquite trees and some that Texas sage is really about all the greenery, unless you go with cactuses. Yeah, in over 30 years. Yeah, I know, and it's getting pretty bad. I know where I work on the Colorado River, and we supply the water for the Yuma Valley, the Imperial Valley, and for Mexico. Well, Mexico is not going to get their water cut off because they have a treaty with the United States, so that has to be they're allotted. I think it's about uh, the maximum is like 2,500 acre feet of water that they're guaranteed to get every every day, but they don't usually pull that amount. Typically, we're delivering anywhere between 1,200 to 1,700 square acre feet of water for them. But they're when they start doing the water restrictions, they're not going to get restricted. They might not be able to get the full 2,500 if they were to request it, but they're not going to get less than, I think it's 1,200. They can't get less than 1,200 acre feet. What's gonna suffer are some of the crops down here. They down here in this area, they produce, I would want to say, about 80% of the produce for the entire country. And the news has been talking about that being an issue where this year, this winter, because that's when they do a lot of the produce crops down here is during the winter. Uh, they're seeing that a lot of these farmers are not going to be planting a lot of produce. So don't be surprised if at the grocery store you start seeing the cost of tomatoes, broccoli, cauliflower, lettuce, which is basically what they grow out here during the winter. Carrots, onions are going to start going up because they're not going to be growing as many crops anymore. And I don't know if organic is going to be such a big deal anymore because that that's a little bit more cost for the farmers, which I think they're going to go with just standard crops to have the biggest yields. Because with organic, they can use fertilizers, and when they don't use the fertilizers, the yields are not as high. And I think they're going to try to go for more bang for their buck. So it's not a good situation, um, but it's just something that's been happening. Uh, a lot of it is we get cities like Las Vegas, Palm Springs, where they're putting out golf courses in the desert. So and anybody that has a lawn knows that they require a lot of it is just for landscaping reasons that they're doing it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a nice green lush lawn, but that's fine if you get a lot of rainwater where you don't have to deplete a limited resource. So, but it is what it is. I see a lot of water in the canals going south. Yeah, yeah. Cities like LA, they're drying out of most of Northern California. I know, what was it, Owens Lake, that they dried out a few years ago. Well, actually, more than a few years ago. They just sucked it up dry, and they're doing the same thing. I know one of the things they did out here, because for the longest time, the main canal that was coming off of the Colorado River and delivering water to the Imperial Valley was the All American Canal, and that used to be a dirt canal. And maybe about 10 or 12, well, 10 to 15 years ago, the city of LA and San Diego invested a lot of money in lining and cement lining these canals. And the the agreement was if they footed the bill for that, because they had done some calculations of the seepage that they were doing through those dirt canals, that they were going to be able to get that allotment if they lined all these canals out here. So they have a big old reservoir that is in between Yuma and El Centro, uh, that they build also so that they could get that surplus of water, if you want to call it that, and be able to get that pumped to them. So, but because they did that, I guess they're also guaranteed. They have a they have a contract for I don't know how many years. One of those 100-year contracts where they're guaranteed so many acre feet of water, and you know so that's why a lot of the local farmers here, they're going to take the hit for that. But that's just the whole politics of water, and but that's kind of the stuff that we see down here. But yeah, well, I know you guys have been here with me for about an hour and 20 now. I'm going to go ahead and jump off. I want to thank you guys very much for being out here with me. Hopefully, I didn't bore you guys too much. Um, and I appreciate you guys letting me share my aquariums with you guys. So I want to thank you guys for being here, and we'll see when the next time is. If nobody else is streaming and I'm up for it, I'll do another pop up. But thanks for being here. So you guys have a good night. I'll catch you guys on some of the other streams. Have a good one.